You are listening to the Main Event Moto podcast.
Producer Joe, I want to start this show by apologizing to you.
You better.
It is early on a Sunday morning. I know you like to sleep till noon.
Sunday's my sleeping day, man.
But I just landed, and I didn't want to have to go home and come back. So unfortunately for you, you had to get up.
Yeah.
Wake up, Joe.
I'm here.
You are here. We got some good guests, too. We'll get to them in a minute. Let's thank the sponsors. This is episode 195. Fly Racing. Oh, my gosh. I saw the 2022 gear, Joe. You know how I get in there early?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I'm such a homer for Fly. Huge sponsor of ours. Thank you guys for helping. Mika Metals, Motorsport.com, Scott USA, No Toil, Guts Racing, EMT Racing, Blenzall, All-American Chevy of Killeen, Olney Creations, DR Suspension with Racetech, and Uintah. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this podcast. Joe, how we doing today?
You know how we doing. So good.
Are you mad at me? Are you putting on a happy face? Fake face? Are you a faker?
No, I'm not even mad. I'm excited. I like to get up early every once in a while.
Once a month?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did for us today. We got good guests.
Yeah, we do.
Really good ones. We got one that I'm stoked to see. Haven't seen him in a while, and I like him. And I got another one that I am not in the mood to put up with today.
Man.
Let's start with Coach Robb. Coach Robb is back. Coach.
Good morning.
Hey, how were the camps? How were your NorCal camps?
They were absolutely awesome. You know, Zeb killed it. The track was phenomenal. We had a waiting list, and it was great. I mean, dude, first debut here, and to have a waiting list was
And you
awesome.
were at Riverfront Friday, right? See, I was there Thursday night, and I was thinking about how's this track going to be for you. Were you happy with it Friday?
It was fantastic. What we wanted to do was just leave it in its condition, so we threw some water down.
Yeah.
And went into some of the tactics of, all right, this is the track as you found it.
Yep.
And then what we did was actually swap it where we had the track ripped and watered
For the next day.
second day,
Okay.
and say, okay, let's learn how to adapt to a track as it changes. So, yeah, phenomenal, great group of people. I can't thank Toolman Dan and Jackie Furtado for helping us pull it together.
Yeah.
And thanks for Zeb for letting us, utilize
And Zeb
the
was
track.
out there too?
He was.
Yeah.
It was a privilege to work with him. And
He's got that
the
new
legend.
450. He loves that thing, doesn't he?
He makes it look easy, that's for sure.
So Joe Shimoda wins the race, Joe, which I'm happy about, but in a way I'm not.
Oh, boy.
Because of this other guest that is there a mute button? Can I mute him when I need to? Because I don't know if I could put up with this for an hour and a half.
Joe knows better.
Whatever you want, Daddy.
Toolman Dan is in the house. Can we get that part over with? Dan, Joe Shimoda won. I know you got a Cali 250, and now you're a 250 guy, right? You've given up on the 450, and your guy wins on his 250. Just say what you got to say so we can move on.
Dude, what do you want me to say, Daniel?
I don't know. Just be fair. It was good, but just...
He was awesome. I mean, he was...
All right. Good job, Joe. Let's move on. 250 class is done. I don't want to hear another word about it. No, we're gonna get into it, but Dan, you got to be stoked, right?
Yeah, of course I am. I mean, green bikes up front make me happy. But honestly, to see Joe win, because he's had a couple good finishes throughout the season. That one, he was didn't want to accept.
Yeah, the podium that he didn't want to accept.
This one, he legit got out front on his own with a full field minus Christian Craig, but he rode great.
Hold up on the full field thing.
Well, I was a little embarrassing, but how does that happen? You're on the West Coast. We have tons of West Coast riders, and you have 26 guys signed up.
I don't know. I saw some people online being like, "This is a disgrace," and my thought is, for you riders out there, where are you? Salt Lake is not far from California. I could probably right now off the top of my head name at least 15 guys that could have been out there. I don't know why they weren't. I don't know. And I know it's an Eastern Division race on the whatever. There's guys that could have been there, and they weren't. And that's whatever. Separate debate. I don't want to talk about that. But Joe Shimoda, let's remember this. That guy has been in the top 5 every race this year. I looked out because I'm doing my stats for the weekend. I'm like, has this guy ever been out? No, it was all top 5s with a couple podiums. So he kind of felt like he was building, Coach Robb. But, dude, he was so stubborn up front and disciplined, and they were coming at him. And he just... I want to get into it more later, but I just, right off the top, that's why I got to say, Coach Robb, for me, he was just defensive and never, ever gave it up.
Well, and to show that kind of maturity that he was pressured and didn't succumb to it. Bridged again, didn't succumb to it. Into lappers, didn't blow it. Just everything that we always talk about, stuff that blows or screws everything up. He overcame, persevered, pushed through, and then, like you say, by who? The man Jet.
Jet. I love Jet's podium, man. Damn you, Joe. They're awesome, dude. They're funny because their relationship goes back a couple years when they were even younger kids. We'll get into the 250 class at Coach Robb. Do not let me to forget this term, no waste. Okay, I want to talk about Joe Shimoda later about the way he rides. He is a no waste rider. I'm blown away by a couple things with him, but let's get into that later.
Okay,
Joe, I do want to get into what I guess you would say my 3 hours of.
Of course.
I would like to. I'd like to say the word fun, but dude, it was intense, man.
Let's address the elephant in the room. You were in the booth.
I was in the booth, and I want to get into it. I want to talk a little bit. I want to move on. I want to focus on the race itself and not my weekend all the way. We have all summer to talk about those things. I will say right off the top, that was the most mental exhausting 3 hours of my life. When I got done with that, Joe, it felt like I was on the freeway going 90 mile an hour and just pulled the e-brake.
It's funny to hear you say that because, as everybody knows, usually on race day, because of all the random jobs you normally have, you're putting in like a 14-hour day. And you get done and you're like ready to go to Chick-fil-A and hang out and you have a couple beers, whatever. But last night, 3 hours, boom, 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 boom,
Joe,
and then you were like ready to go to bed.
Joe, you know how I drive in the fast lane at 62? That's normally race day live for me. It's a cruise show.
Yeah.
We cruise through, we talk. It's just conversating.
There's no pressure.
Yeah, it's just fun. You go to commercial break when I count myself down, and this deal, and I know it came across smooth because I've watched a few clips back and it seems smooth. That was pure chaos in my brain for 3 hours, just navigating the responsibilities that I had to do. There was way more responsibilities, and it wasn't on my time. When they were going to commercial break, that's Bondo's time. Bondo counts me down, and I'm out. And I got to find a way to navigate it out. And then I'm like, I get a breather, and you look at the clock, and it's 2.5 minutes till we're back. Dude, I get a sip of water, and we're back into more traffic, and it was brutal. It was mentally, the focus for 3 hours was exhausting. And when I was done, I had the weirdest feeling in my body of this weird exhaustion. I can't even explain it.
Like an adrenaline dump.
Yeah, Rob, what the hell was it?
Well, like producer Joe said, I mean, you literally, your foot was on the accelerator. You take your job serious. You love what you do. You're very passionate. You research it. You put it all in. And then once that green light dropped, it was literally, no pun intended, wide open from start to finish. And then once you pull the foot off the accelerator, dude, I hate to get into a bunch of physiology, but you're literally in a fight or flight situation. Yeah. If you look at your parasympathetic system, when you almost get in a car wreck and you get that flushed feeling, you held that for 3 hours. Oh. So yeah, it's not psychosomatic. That's legit.
And it wasn't even the racing as much. I mean, it was a little bit. It was the others. It was in and out, and then to this, and then to that, and navigating traffic, and then even on the racing was difficult because naturally I'm an analyst, right? My brain I'm a racer, so I'm analyzing things like an analyst, but that's not my job. So on one hand, I'm like, Daniel, just call what you're seeing, and the other hand's going, dude, you have a job to do your responsibility. So even juggling that in the moment was hard. And then I don't know if you guys noticed the main events, dude. I took my foot off the brake. Me and Ricky went ham in those mains because, dude, what were we supposed to do?
The racing was
those
great.
Were awesome.
Yeah. It was the chemistry between you guys was awesome.
It was fun, man.
It was just it was super natural. It was super. I was engaged. I think Joe, did you feel like that? Were you
Absolutely.
More engaged?
Yeah.
It was really good.
I actually felt my pulse. It was ticking up a little bit during those main events.
It was awesome to see.
That was because of lap riders. It wasn't me and Ricky. It was the lap riders that were making the pulse go up for these. At least for these guys.
It was the way you guys were calling it. I mean, DB, you and I were talking last night on the phone. I mean, even in that 250 LCQ, you guys made it interesting when 50% of the track was going to make it.
Yeah, more
out of the 8 riders.
7. Well, Craig didn't line up, so it was 4
it was
of
only
7.
7. Shit,
Yeah.
I thought it was 8.
4 of 7.
Yeah.
In fact, that was the one kind of breather because we lightened up, talked about the number 125, got kind of funny with that. Yeah, I don't remember how I worded it, but I said that number 125 has been in a lot of LCQs, Ricky. I felt like that was the race where we could switch chairs. Like, hey, why don't you be play-by-play? Let me be the analyst. I'm the expert in the LCQs, Ricky. You're not.
Yeah,
for sure. You guys talk about all the time how you've been in one. Good for you, buddy. Yeah. I lived in those things. Let me analyze this LCQ because I know all about them. But dude, it was fun. Ricky, he was fun. We were laughing at some of the breaks and just we were knuckle bump. It was, like I said, I kind of lost track of the job there a couple times because I forgot. It was just so much fun. I got caught in the moment, and he did too. And it was a good time. But damn, when it was over, dude, I damn near collapsed.
I think that's what we like, though, is you kind of losing yourself and losing the job and being just more natural. And Ricky was. I was impressed with Ricky, and I like that he let loose a little bit more.
Yeah,
teeing him up,
We built our chemistry all day on Race Day Live. When we did our own practice run on Race Day Live without it being broadcasted, and we just had fun. And I was just poking at him, just trying to figure out what he wanted to talk about, where he was in his thoughts. Because then I got to file that away. That way, when the racing happens, I get back to those. So for us, it felt repetitive because we went over a lot of those things practicing. But for everyone else, that was brand new stuff. But the chemistry was good. I felt like I was just with my buddy, and we were just talking. While in the other half, I was like, "Oh my god, I got to get to all these responsibilities." So it was fun, but it was more difficult than fun. Like, it was fun now that it's over, but man, in the moment, that was intense. But I gotta say, Joe, we had a good little talk on Friday night, didn't we?
Yeah, buddy.
We had a long little talk. We had some thoughts. You gave me some really good ideas. Did you feel like I executed what you wanted correctly? I slipped a couple things in that
couple Easter eggs.
A couple Easter eggs for y'all to go hunting for.
Sounds like Joe is daddy for a night.
Oh, Joe! I had to call Daddy on Friday night for advice, and he gave it to me. And Joe, I've had a couple people today even comment on the things, and they didn't understand why, and you and I had a little method. We did some psychological stuff with the viewer last night, and it ended up being really good. I will say in closing, so we can move on, I want to talk about the race. My proudest moment, Joe, my favorite moment, my proudest moment, where I just stood up and just a day to remember, baby. I got it in. I got it in. Dan, A Day to Remember, Coach Robb, one of my favorite bands, one of my favorite songs, a song called All I Want by A Day to Remember. They have the sickest lyric in the chorus, keep your hopes up high and your head down low. And I pulled it off, Joe. I almost forgot, but I got it in. And I wanted to use that line for Christian Craig because, dude, he had such a rough, go. Yeah. And then I forgot. And then when Marvin was...
Oh, that's funny.
When Marvin was celebrating, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. I'm going to do it now. And I dropped the lyrics to one of my favorite songs. And the funny thing is the DMs come in today and there's people like... You cheesy MFer. You got that A Day to Remember line in, and I did. That was, Joe, we had that pre-planned.
That was fun.
That was some pre-production on behalf of producer Joe. So
is that going to be like, how Weech has his word of the day? We're going to do DB's lyric of the day?
No, because eventually I'll run out of cool shit and I'll be like, yeah, there he goes to the whoops for whom the bell tolls. And they'll be like, what? No, it's not going to work forever.
Yeah.
It was a one-time gig. But that was my favorite part.
Well, on behalf of all of us as listeners, as viewers, as fans, it was awesome because, as Dan said, I felt like Ricky felt more comfortable. The natural banter, I think it elevated Ricky's game. You allowed him to, because you're bringing a unique perspective as you tease yourself about LCQs and stuff. But in all of the races, you brought a unique perspective, which I think made Ricky feel comfortable. He was able to elaborate a little bit more. I think for the diehard fans and even the new viewers to get that kind of insight was second to none. So thank you, both of you guys. It was awesome.
Well, thank you. It was a great time. It was. Hey,
I like your
Joe. It's a day to remember. It's a day I'll always remember.
I like your little handkerchief in your pocket.
It's not a handkerchief. It's a pocket square. Okay, and I will tell you right now, I'm pretty sure I broke the record on live television broadcasting. That was the cheapest suit ever in a broadcast booth. Let me tell you right now, my mom is a bargain shopper. It may have looked good, but let me tell you, that price tag was right up my alley. It was not that much, Joe. And I know you like that too.
Absolutely.
Because y'all don't know, it might look good on screen, but let's just say that's like a tear off. I could throw that one away and get a new one. So, which is good because I told my mom, don't break the bank. She was like, I'm getting you the best suit ever. And I said, don't do it, Mom. Get me something that looks good, but And
it did look good.
Instead of leather, give me some pleather, baby. That's all I'm saying. So it fit good. But I will say one last thing. That button was holding on for dear life. That suit fit on Wednesday, and for some reason, it was tight on Saturday. And every time I was on camera, I'm sucking the belly and Joe, because I'm thinking that thing's going to shoot off boing, on camera. That button was holding on for dear life.
You talk about some DMs you would have gotten then.
Oh, it would have been
goodness.
a bad moment in television if the guy on camera's suit popped because he was wearing too tight of a suit.
Hey, bro, you got to get some little bit thicker soles, though. Ricky's got you by like maybe a half an inch.
Nope, it's the hair. He pushes the hair up in the front, head to head. It's dead even. I know his trick now. I got it covered. I'll have a mohawk next show because I know exactly what he was doing there. He went with the high front. He went high front. It was a sneaky move on his part. Or I'll just get bigger shoes. But anyways, Joe, let's take a break and move on from that. I do want to say last thing too. Thank you guys so much for the support. It's been awesome. It's been a fun 12 hours or so to catch up on some of the messages. Thank you guys. It means a lot to me. You Motoheads, man, you got my back, and it means so much to me to have that outpouring of support because mom's going to tell you do good no matter what, and to have you guys have my back, I truly appreciate it. So, Joe, let's take a break. Let's come back, and I want to get into the 250s again, Coach Robb, because I want to talk about this no-waste rider, and I want to get your thoughts on it from a technical standpoint because there's a couple things I noticed last night that I really, really like, and I think we should send a message to some of the riders out there because what you saw last night on screen was some things that I think you all need to recognize. So, Joe, let's take a break. We'll come back, talk 250s.
Main Event Moto.
All-American Chevrolet in Killeen, Texas is a proud supporter of Main Event Moto and invites all the Motoheads to experience the difference for all of your Chevy sales and service needs. Mention Main Event Moto and get 50% off your next oil change and a front-end alignment at no charge. Remember, whether you're hauling your bikes to the weekend track, trail, or race, or commuting to the job that pays for your moto habit, we have the truck to get you there in style. Visit us online anytime at ChevyKilleen.com. That's All-American Chevrolet of Killeen. Chevy, find new roads.
Look good? Check. Protection? Check.
Fly Racing has had the gear game on lock for years, but the Formula helmet has taken Fly to another level. They didn't just make a high-quality helmet, they redefined the standard for the most important piece of safety equipment on a rider's body.
Use your head and protect your head. Run the Fly Formula helmet.
Then cover the rest of your body in Fly's Evolution and Kinetic gear lines.
Easy decision.
There's a reason I run DRS suspension and Race Tech hard parts with Mika Metals chains, bars, and sprockets on Evans 65. First off, DRS suspension settings work everywhere. I haven't changed a clicker since I put them on. Maybe it's the internals from Race Tech that give it that extra something.
American-made products with a 100% guarantee. You don't see that every day.
Yeah, the DRS Race Tech combo works for me. And what can I say about Mika?
First off, they've been with us since the beginning.
The quality of their bars is top of the line, and Mika is the only chain and sprocket combo I run. Motoheads, get with the program. It's DRS suspension, Race Tech, Mika Metals.
They
try too hard. They get too cute.
Too cute.
There we go, and we're back.
Mika Metals. Is that good, Joe?
Yeah. Ooh,
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Is that what it sounds like?
Yeah, well, Eric on Race Day Live does that to me all the time. Like, I do this VP commercial on Race Day Live that I did with Bruce from VP, and it pops up every once in a while, and I'm not paying attention. He's like, Daniel, we're back on. And I look up, and I'm on screen. Whoa. And like, gets me. He's got me like 5 times this year because I think we're in break, and then he scares me like we're coming out of break, and I'm not ready. So don't do that, Joe. I already have Saturday nights.
PTSD.
Yeah, don't do that. So before we get into 250s, Coach Robb, tell me about Dan. Tell me, he took your class. He told me he rode more in 2 days than he has in 2 years. First off, Dan, how's your body? How you feel?
Dude, I am sore. I am not going to lie. My ass feels like it got abused.
Oh, yeah.
And the backs of my legs are, yeah.
Dan, it's not that kind of show. Dan. Coach Robb, how did Dan do?
Dan did really well. He's energy's on the low side. We've talked about that on the show in the past. Okay, and Dan's doing a great job trying to turn that around. We're doing some low intensity stuff, trying to get the adrenals out of a state of exhaustion. And we even talked about it before we got started. How much will the body allow him to handle? Because
not much.
Well, and then it goes into the point where it becomes dangerous for him and everybody else. And the whole idea, the whole idea with these camps is to try to take certain concepts. We do everything we can to integrate the physiology with that moving motorcycle. We refer to it as a gyroscope. And when you're getting into some minute nuances of how to hold the bike, where to put the bike, where to look, etc. He did a phenomenal job.
Dan, don't you think you would have been able to handle it better if maybe you would have started Coach Robb's program months ago when he gave it to you, which you didn't do for a while?
It was tough. It was tough to get, like, I explained this to Robb, and I told Robb this from day one. I do not like working out, period. I don't like it.
I need you to coach me, but I'm telling you right now, I do not like working out.
I want to date you, but I don't like you.
Yeah.
But it's honestly the class, when you are one-on-one and you can hear somebody talking in front of you, things just seem to like maybe click a little bit better.
Yeah.
And they're motivating in a different way, because when Coach Robb is telling me to do something and I go do it, then I could see the benefit and I could feel the benefit versus, sending a bunch of documents, to do this workout, do this. And it's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but I think, going in person,
it's more hands-on, and that brings it to life more. Robb, is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly what our agenda is to get people to understand that riding a motorcycle is more than just twisting a throttle.
Right.
And so what we try to incorporate into the workshops and the performance camps is you're essentially fighting a motorcycle, and it's really the law of physics that has to integrate with physiology. We talk a lot about creating bike stability into the braking bumps, which then, of course, increases entrance speed into the corner. But then I always want to make sure that the athletes can manage the increased speed that we create.
Right.
That, to me, is one of the irresponsible components of some of these riding camps that are out there is, hey, just don't hit the brakes until you get past this orange cone and the bike's three ways sideways and there's no stability in the bike. Now, is that a strength issue? Is that a flexibility issue? Or is that just not understanding the physics of a motorcycle?
Yeah, the fundamentals of how to ride it.
That's exactly right. Now, and I say this to everybody at the camp, I'm not here to debate whether you should have one or two fingers on the front brake. You're an ex-pro. You know those. That's not my wheelhouse.
And you think that those are all personal, too.
100%.
That's a feel thing.
100%.
Yeah.
But if you're going to sit here, and this is where I get a little bit irritated when you've got an ex-factory rider that now is a physiologist and a nutritionalist and a sports psychologist and a strength and conditioning coach. I've teased about it on the show before. I have a 250F. I've read the manual. No factory team should pick me up because I've ran a medial or taken a weekend class. That's what we try to get across in these camps is there's more to it than just saying, I go to the gym. You could be in great shape, but are you in shape to ride moto? There's a distinct difference there. You may have a sports psychologist, but do they really understand what's going on when that gate's getting ready to drop and what you've got to do?
Do they know your world?
That's right. Yeah. So the bike setup, that stuff, there's tons of riding coaches out there, and I think they do a great job. My thing is if you've got a riding coach and he's telling you don't dab your foot, I'm going to do a strength and a flexibility assessment to see if that's more of an issue than you just being mentally belligerent.
Yeah, why
did
you dab the foot?
That's exactly...
you dab the foot, don't do it, but why did you do it? Let's fix that, and then you won't do it no more.
That is literally the one word that represents our camps. Understand the why.
About that is, so my son Evan has ridden the least amount ever in the last 4 months. Because I've been gone so much, and I don't like him riding without me. I'm not ready for that yet. He does too much stupid stuff. So, Dan, you saw what he did last, whatever. This last 4 months when I've been with him, I've been way more focused on fundamentals, less on, hey, just use your front brake all the way to here and then get on the gas here. I have literally done less speed, more just explaining how things work. And he has gotten faster in the last 4 months by riding less than he ever has. And it's because, again, I've been breaking it down so that he understands it too. It's not just, hey, when you come in hot to here, front brake, then get off, drop the leg, and go. It's, Evan, okay, why do you gas it here? Well, see that braking bump right there? We got to get past that one, okay? And then you're going to drop your body because I want the weight to drop right when the right time to compress the bike. Then you get on the gas while you got the traction. Like, explaining it to him has made him so much faster, and I haven't focused on speed one time this year, and he's gotten faster just by understanding the technicalities, not just doing them because I said to. So, Dan, is that what you learned at the camp? Is understanding why to do the things to do?
Yeah, and that's what is motivating me to regroup myself. Is we on a normal practice day, you just go out there and you just ride laps, and you're just essentially having fun and riding laps, and you don't ever really concentrate on yourself or what you're doing.
But you've been telling me you want to get better for a while now. Like, you want to get better. It's not just about riding laps.
So we broke down some sections and some corners, and we were just drilling these corners, and Robb was watching us and telling us use the front brake to shorten the wheelbase and lay just the basic stuff really that I know we all know, but we get away from doing for whatever reason. And honestly, for me, I think it's just I just became lazy straight up. I just want to ride. I don't care about it. If my bike goes around the track, I'm good with that. Well, it was motivating for me to see, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day and the progress that I had made just by focusing. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, dude, I was like Coach Robb said, my energy level was, and I had some issues Saturday morning that I thought was going to hinder me, and I don't want to go deep into it, but
10 Jaeger bombs on Friday night probably wasn't the best idea, Dan.
But
Joe's like, whoa, really?
But now,
where was I? Where was the invite?
But now,
thank you.
Like, I wish I was in better shape because I want to go do that for longer.
So you want to get in better shape so you can do the things that you're learning. So it's a kind of a give and take, huh?
So this is going to sound really stupid, right? But
here we go.
I
love it.
This is what was motivating for me. There's a kid, Jesse Furtado.
Yep.
He's a pretty quick local 85 rider, and actually he's a Loretta's kid. He's good. We did these drills where Coach Robb paired us off. With somewhat close in speed. I'm like, oh, shit. Jesse's faster than I am. And he's on an 85.
Yeah.
Well, we did the drill. I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 times, but I was actually able to beat Jesse 2 out of those 8 times.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, man, I can't believe I just did that. Like,
it's motivating?
So, yeah, it was super I mean, I hate beating up on children, but I mean, you're used to it, Daniel.
Well, Evan's my son. I mean, if he was your son, you'd understand.
But that was motivating to me, and I crashed once in 2 days, and I almost killed myself once.
Oh, but that wasn't your fault. That was just excessive wheel spin off takeoff. I mean, but
the old panic rev, Daniel.
Rev that 250 out.
But it goes back to, like you're saying, if I were to say, it doesn't matter what the age is, if I say to you, hey, foam rolling is going to help improve your corner speed, that resonates with an Evan much more than, hey, grab that foam roller. They'd rather watch paint dry. You know what I mean? It's like you said earlier, it's understanding the why, but then what we do is we go in a classroom setting for 15, 20 minutes, talk about it conceptually, and immediately take it to the track so they can see its application. We're not doing it intentionally. If you do it correctly, you realize, wow, I don't have the strength, I don't have the flexibility, I don't have the endurance to do the right technique, which then motivates you to go back and do the off the bike work. What kills me is most people, and I hate to throw moto dads under the bus for this, but they own it. Their answer is always stiffer suspension, faster motor. And I'm like, you want to bring the lack of fitness to the surface quicker? Throw them on stiffer suspension and a faster motor. Then add a rough track, and then the kid goes backwards, and then they go.
You mean me in 09 on our road for Geico?
There you go.
That fast bike with stiff suspension that made me worse?
Yeah, Brock Tickle said it when he went to Pro Circuit, rode that bike for the first time. J Mart, the first time he went to Star. The difference between that race bike and his practice bike, we call it performance parity. When you've got huge discrepancies on what the practice horsepower is to your race bike, the rigidity of the frame, suspension, they look like they're literally riding somebody else's bike because they are.
I would encourage everybody to take one of Coach Robb's class. Whether you are a beginner rider, because we had a couple beginners in the class, we had a couple women in the class, we had a couple kids in the class, we had a couple vets. So it was actually a very good group
diverse
of people.
Group.
And you could see every single person improve on the track. Every single person, no matter what their skill level was. And, we do foam rolling and, exercises with tennis balls and stuff, but for Coach Robb to physically show us what to do, it hits home.
Yeah.
It's not just reading something or watching a YouTube video. When somebody can physically show you, put the tennis ball in this portion of your back and lay down, and that's going to, open up the tissues and stuff like that for recovery. And, that's when stuff starts to click. So
make it make sense.
It does.
It's hard to believe in something if you don't understand it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, good times.
But thanks for having
you guys. Yeah,
appreciate it.
All right, so let's get into this 250 class and let's bridge it over that way. Let's go with the physical side before we go mental. Coach Robb, Joe Shimoda is a prime example of no flash. And Jet Lawrence is too. Jet Lawrence is not a flashy rider. What everyone loves about him is the insane technicality and efficiency that he rides with. Joe's not as technical as Jet. That's different. But I'm watching this kid, 18 years old, win this main event because he is a no-waste rider. He doesn't do anything excess. He doesn't throw whips and blitz this and rail a corner like crazy. You saw Barsha kind of tip it over right there. He was going for the ripper rut, man.
Yep.
Shimoda is just business. And in a sport where it's always about that flash and style because it's got to be cool, whatever, take note, kids. Like, that guy just won a Supercross at 18 years old, and just think about where he was last year at Salt Lake City. He was third overall in points, and it was not great. He looked like he was just learning it, right?
Yeah.
And now he wins and beats Jet, and he beats Colt and holds off Mosman the whole time. And I'm watching the way he rides physically, and it's just efficient. There's no waste. It's clean, and it's hard to get around a guy like that because there's no weaknesses. Yeah, maybe the ceiling of fun isn't there.
Yeah.
But God, there's no floor. The floor is so high because the dude doesn't do anything wrong ever. And there's something to that with these engines and how fast these bikes are and how good they are now. You don't need to ride flashy. The bike does the work if you just apply it. Rob, I mean, are you seeing what I'm seeing with him?
Yeah, 100%. And I don't want any of the Motoheads to get impatient with me. That is a direct reflection of, and we talked about it even at camp over and over again, when you have strength and you complement that with flexibility, and then you add the technique of throttle control, landing the backsides. One of the things that we try to teach in the camps is every time you clip that rear wheel, that's costing you energy as well as speed.
Yeah.
And yes,
lap time and beats you up.
And with these, as the suspension does get better, we talked a lot about it in the camps. My first motorcycle was a 78 RM80. We had dual rear shocks and a metal tank. So when I hear these kids on these smaller bikes saying these bikes suck, they don't handle well, I'm like, you're essentially riding a works bike that's sans 5 years ago,
Yeah, 5 years ago, this is the sickest bike ever.
And you're not even riding the bike to nearly its potential. And a large part of that is because you're not strong enough, you're not fit enough, you don't have a good enough endurance base to ride these bikes. I think it's no secret, Joe Shimoda worked with Jeff Ward for a couple of years, and Jeff's big on fitness. He's big on functional movement. And to your point, you look at Joe out there, he does look like he's on a rail. And we were even talking a little bit about, he reminds me a lot of Jeremy McGrath because he is so efficient on the downs.
Jet or Joe?
Well, actually both of them. But when you look at Joe's efficiency, to your point, there is there's no fluff anywhere.
No waste.
And it would be interesting to look at, and again, this is me kind of geeking out on the physiology side. I'd love to see his average and max heart rate in this race compared to being at the test track, because he sure looked like he was extremely comfortable.
I mean, and he was under pressure the whole time. He was literally in a fight the majority of that race in elevation. And the pressures of being out front, maybe going to win that guy was dealing with a lot of stuff. Think about it. First win on the table. It's sitting in front of you. Elevation. Constant pressure. And he never broke. And he never even changed the way he rode. He just was a machine. And I admire that. And again, to your point, probably comes back to that fitness. He was able to handle all those things because he was strong.
Exactly. And lap traffic. This is what we talked about in the camp.
He handled that so good too.
We did some testing. We had a facility out by James Stewart's place, and we brought a group of riders in, 85 all the way up to pro. And what we did was we pricked their finger every 2 laps to test their blood sugar levels, and we got their lap times. There was a direct correlation. As blood sugar levels dropped, lap times got slower.
Right.
What that validated to us is when you have low blood sugar, your ability to hit your marks, as we just saw, Joe never missed his marks. Like you said, under pressure, hit his marks, didn't rush it, didn't override the track. That's a direct influence of stabilized blood sugar. Again, I don't want all of our moto heads to get irritated with me saying that.
Well, no, it opens eyes is what it does.
I want it to be an encouragement. Like, hey, if I start the day and I'm feeling really good and all of a sudden I go 3 ways sideways, hey, when's the last time you grazed on a few hundred calories to bring that blood sugar back to normal? And, I think you saw that. As you articulated earlier, that was like just everything came together beautifully. He got the start of his life, and he handled the pressure through traffic, without traffic, lap after lap, start to finish. And hey, who was he being pressured by? I think one of the futures.
Jet Lawrence,
exactly.
I said it on the broadcast too. You're looking at a 17 and 18-year-old. This is the future. Then right when I said it, I was like, wait a minute, this is a present. They just went 1-2. Like,
1-2.
these kids are gnarly. But do you think my exhaustion maybe was the pulled pork, mac and cheese, and cornbread that I had right before the night show? Is that a contributing factor to my exhaustion?
Well,
and I ate Ricky's cornbread too. So
well,
he left his on his table, and I grabbed it from him.
We talk about this in the camp all the time. A lot of people don't realize that your liver stores there's two areas you store sugar in the form of glycogen. Your liver's one, and your liver feeds your brain, to your point. So when you went in there with that cornbread, you're topping all those blood sugar levels off, and then you just started draining it until there was almost on empty.
And once the cornbread was gone, Joe, I collapsed.
You know what I love about Shimoda, and I'm going to say this for
his
McAdoo
bike?
Also. Well, yeah.
And his bike?
Yeah, they're good bikes. Trust me, I know.
Oh, God. Joe, eat him.
But, they have made the best of the opportunities that they have.
Yeah.
These kids, both of them really, Shimoda comes to the U.S., gets a Honda ride, then that goes south, not because of him.
And he had another deal there, so another year, so he was safe. He lost a deal because the team went away.
Right. Was not his fault. Mitch picks him up, gives him a chance, and, he goes out and executes. And same thing with McAdoo. McAdoo had a long road of struggles and with rides and everything else. And, Mitch gives him a chance as an extra guy per se. And he goes out there and he was a title contender. And that's what I love. The days of these kids coming out of Loretta's and winning championships.
I want to touch on that.
I think AC might have been it. Honestly.
Well, look at who's going to win these two titles. Justin Cooper and Colt Nichols. Look at their amateur careers. I mean, in fact, that's the point I really want to make on Nichols. Nichols is going to get this thing. It's about over. He started his pro career as a privateer. He rode for that Crosslands Honda team. He told me he was stoked just because he got flights and a hotel.
Yep.
That's where he started. Okay, so you do not have to come in guns a-blazing, factory ride with all the goods. You come in like Colt Nichols, and you claw your way to a factory ride. Don't forget, he didn't get it right away either. He had to go to Cycle Trader first.
Yep.
Then he goes to Star, has all these injuries. The team keeps him. He's just fighting to stay afloat. He's out in the middle of the ocean, doggy paddling, staying afloat. He's about to be a champion. And I want, look, there is no right or wrong way to make it in the sport, but every story is different. But if you are not the superstar factory, whatever, look at the stories right now. Look at the Cameron McAdoo story. That was all of Atlanta was Cameron McAdoo. Then you got Joe Shimoda, who again, he came over, he got a little bit of a help. He got ride there late, the amateur, and had a lot of help, but still his journey was not this flashy. I mean, he was like, oh, my family's finally here. I mean, that kid has had a really hard go in other ways. Then you got Nichols. You got Justin Cooper, who was nothing till the very end. You do not have to be a star at 5 years old to be a champion in the sport, and it's being proven, and it's starting to become a trend. Really is.
Well,
there's something to it, Rob.
To me, I think, and this is my biased opinion, Dana and I have talked about this off the record, I think 1 year deals is where it needs to be.
Oh, man.
Because like you said, he got an opportunity, McAdoo being McAdoo, Shimoda. Mm-hmm. And I think there's two sides of that coin. I think sometimes they ride when they shouldn't because they are on contract years. But what I'm saying is they're not going to be complacent at all because they know that every single inch of that track for every round that we have is going to matter. And to your point, Daniel, it's like it shows. There's no way that last night Shimoda was going to lay down for anybody.
No,
there's no way.
No, and when your back's against the wall, you elevate. And that's.
And it takes a unique person when you have somebody, and I have just an infinity for the Lawrence brothers. It takes a unique personality to have a multi-year contract and stay aggressive, stay hungry, stay pushing the envelope. And I think, like you said, if you get the right person, a 2-year deal could be great, especially in the 250 class. But I think for the most part, if everybody knew, hey, I've got to race it, like you said, as a privateer, just like Colt Nichols did, every point counts, every dollar counts, every pair of goggles you get for free counts. Like you said, how awesome was it to get an airplane ticket?
Nichols said flights and hotels, and he was stoked.
Yep.
And then you have some factory kids who are factory kids for 10 years. There is no stoked for the flight because they've already had it their whole life. They've had it since they were kids.
That's right.
And it's not everybody. It's not. I don't want it to come across like, oh, if you're a factory kid, you're doomed because not everyone's that way. But there is something to that. When you are a factory rider your entire life, especially through your youth, you get in the pros and it's different. When you don't have that chip on the shoulder like Nichols, I don't think he has a chip, but what he has is an appreciation for what he has because he didn't have it. And that appreciation drives you to do things that are special. And he's going to win a title. And Justin Cooper, too. Dude, he was nothing, hits 16, 17, 18, it starts to click. He's going to win a title. And I'm not saying that is the route you want to go, but if that's the route that the cards you're dealt, you're okay. You can do it if you work your ass off.
Well, out of the four of us that are sitting here, what do we grow up with? Our dads didn't give us anything. If you didn't work, you didn't get paid. If you didn't mow the yard, you didn't get your allowance. It was pretty simple. And it just falls right in line with that same theory. These guys have come over with nothing. They're humble. They're hungry. I mean, look at Hunter and Jet. I mean, their story is phenomenal.
Yeah, it seems all cool and flashy now with their Alpine Stars and their Red Bull. They had a tough go.
Living on pork and beans at an MXGP. I mean, it's the real
sleeping
deal.
On floors,
literally
away from home in a different continent.
Literally selling everything.
It was not
just
a flashy youth, man. And they get it now, and they deserve it because, dude, they went through it, and they're bad to the bone, man.
Yep.
They are. Jet was good in this race. He had some issues. Damn you, Joe. I thought that. I mean, he's just good on the podium no matter what. But I'm looking at these 17, 18-year-olds, and then you go to the other side, and you see Hammaker, and you see Thrasher, and I'm just like, we got some good stuff coming. This 250 class is...
Outdoors is going to be unbelievable.
Oh, let's not even go there yet, Coach
outdoors.
Robb, because I am fired up. Hunter's winning the title, by the way. Look at.
No, that's not unreasonable.
Who's your pick? Just Faulkner?
Honestly, I have... No, I honestly haven't sat down and really put good thought on who I think is going to win the title. I think the 250 class is wide open. I think the 450 class, I have some picks, but the 250 class,
of course you do.
Man, I don't know.
You have to.
We'll get into it. The 250 class.
Have to.
If I was to be forced to put all $600 in my bank account on a winner, I'd go Jeremy Martin.
That's exactly where I was
But
going.
I think this is going to be spicier than y'all think. I think Hunter and Jet are going to be a pain in the ass for him. I really do. Rob, what?
Well, you look at how Jeremy made that Honda, which was definitely down on horsepower last year. He did his level best to try to be competitive against that Star Yamaha, and now he's on it. I know.
He's
And he's got three other guys on the team that are total badasses.
He's going to be a nightmare for everybody.
I just think Martin's going to be the guy. And,
he is. Joe, right? I mean, if you're just going easy money, right? It's J Mart.
I mean, past performance, you got to go with the stats.
But Faulkner's going to be fun. The youth is going to be wild.
Absolutely.
Jeremy's going to have to fight off a bunch of wild kids, man. And there'll
be a lot of punches thrown.
And maybe that's how he does it because they're going to be wild. But I think the outdoors are going to be fun. Let's move on to Nichols, though.
Hold on. Real quick.
Yep.
For outdoors. Last weekend, I saw Max and TJ, and TJ is Max mechanic, and they were telling me some lap times outdoors. Max outdoors at Glen Helen's running the same lap times as Jet. I'm sorry, at Paula running the same lap times as Jet. So
Max is going to be great too.
Yeah.
He won yesterday. He had a good little fight with my guy Jacob Hayes, and Jacob told me because Jacob lost to him. Max went 1-1. Jacob went 2-2.
Okay.
And I asked Jacob. I said, "You cool with that?" He's like, "Yeah." What am I supposed to say? The dude is going so damn fast. Like, what am I supposed to say about it? And Jacob's obviously stayed with him for a while. Then Jacob gets tired. He just got back on a bike. But
sure.
I said, "How's Max going to do outdoors?" And he's like, "Dude, he's like, it's hard to tell, but I think he's going to do great."
Yep.
And we're obviously homered out over here, right, Joe? Like Max Fullen's our guy. He's a NorCal guy. Talon is very close to me, so I'm all about it. But it's going to be fun. But yeah, let's move back to Supercross real quick. Nichols, I mean, guys, again, the storyline to me is just cool. I mean, I talked to Justin Bogle this week as I was preparing my notes, and Bogle's like, "You have no idea. Like, it's even gnarlier than you think." Like, he was scrounging money to be able to afford to go riding at Raynard's facility, and they were bunkmates, and Colt got hurt, and then he got hurt again. He's like, that dude has been beat up. And for him to be right now one race away from getting a title, I think they're all feel-good stories, right? Every story is a feel-good, but some are just a little extra. And I'm on that little extra with Colt, Rob.
Well, think about last year when Sexton jumped on him. I mean, Colt was a contender. I mean, he was having a good season, and then Sexton lands on that wrist, jumping on the inside.
Oh, that's right. The final round. That's right. I forgot about that.
And so then now Nichols loses another outdoor series. And I've always had an affinity towards Nichols because he just seems like a pit bull in a fight. And it seems like he's always on the wrong end of the receiving side and ends up getting injured. But it's not because he's done something stupid.
Yeah, I agree. Can we all agree, though? Last night, Colt raced a little nervous, I think. I think he knew he could put it away, and he took a while to get going. He didn't look at his best, and I think he had championship on the brain, which didn't allow him to get... I mean, he almost got up to the front.
Sure.
But I would say if there was no title on the line at all, I think he probably catches up and wins that race. But I think he was a little like, oh my gosh, this could happen right now. And I think he was a little tentative.
Well, the two guys in front of him are Shimoda and Jet. So they're a little bit more racy, if you will. Especially Shimoda. He wants his first win, right? And Jet, Jet always wants to win.
He wants another one.
Yeah, so I think getting up there and mixing with those guys would have been a bad decision.
Yeah, it would have been nice to win.
Because they don't care.
Look, at the end of the day, Nichols is going to get this title. Did he have to get it last night in dramatic fashion? It doesn't matter. The check's going to clear the same depending on which race you get it at. I think he made the conscious decision to take no unnecessary risks. And guess what? That 250 class is wild when you're coming through and you're in lap traffic. I mean, they got to 5th.
That's right.
So it's a scary racetrack when you're that fast, like Colt and Jet and Joe and Mosman. They were in a mess. So I think championship play was smart. By
Absolutely.
Colt. He's going to get it next Saturday. And he didn't need to get it this. I mean, he went into this going, I've got to go beat Craig. All of a sudden, Craig's out and he's like, oh my God, I'm going to win it tonight. And he didn't have to. And I think he made the smart decisions when they mattered, especially in the first lap. And it cost him a chance to clinch early. But I think at the end of the day, he don't care. He's going to win it next Saturday. So, Joe, let's plug in our uppers and downers. And we're going to all collectively be on the same page here. We're going to go downer on Christian Craig. I got to tell you some things. I talked to him this week before, again, prepping my notes and watching him go down right there. It was hard for me personally after just the convo I had with him. It was a really good, and I'm going to tell you what we talked about. I think he'd be okay with that. So yeah, Joe, let's hit the uppers and downers, and we'll get into Christian Craig.
Uppers and downers. Uppers and downers brought to you by EMT Racing.
Joe, we've talked about it multiple times. Christian is polarizing in a weird way, right? You got people that love him because he's the family guy. He's got the kids. He's got the wife. They're the vlog, and then you got people that don't like that part of it. They maybe don't like him. They think parts of his story aren't cool. But at the end of the day, we can all agree, right? Christian Craig's a human being. He's a good dude. He's a nice guy. He's never really done anything other than when he tried to kill your son, Amart, a few years back. Other than that, Christian's been pretty good dude, right? Collectively, yep. Dan?
Well, when he got in Dylon's way, too, that was, totally his fault.
In his way. You're something else. So I talked to him this week. I'm just, how's it feeling? And he, guys, was so optimistic and just pumped to be back and racing. And he's like, man, I put in 10 good weeks. And, we got into his hurdles. I said, why would this be meaningful for you? Of course, you want to get a number one plate. You want to get that bonus check. That's all great. But why would this be extra meaningful for you? And he told me he wants to be an inspiration to his kids because he's been knocked down so many times. He wanted to get up and show them, I can get up and look what I can do. And dude, he had me super inspired this week. And he's talking about, because I told him, hey, you're 29 years old, bro. You're going to be the second oldest 250 rider to ever win a title next to John Dowd. And he's like, yeah, but man, I missed so much time and I had injuries and I left for a while and the FIM thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's get into that. And I asked him, I said, the FIM thing, like, what was so hard about that? And he's like, people thinking I'm a cheater. He said it ate me to pieces. Whatever was in whatever supplement, it was like 0.00 something, whatever. He's like, I wasn't cheating. It was something in there. And he's like, the first impression is the killer because people think I'm a cheater. And he's like, that ate me up for a year. He's like, it made me feel so bad because it was false representation. And even for his kids, he's like, my kids are going to grow up and read that I was suspended for and he wanted to get this thing done just for them. He said it multiple times. And for me, when he went down, I was gutted. Rob, I was on a personal level,
Sure.
I was gutted.
Sure. Well, and we also can't forget his highs and lows and the accusations when he went over to the Yamaha team from Geico, with his wife being, Ziggy's daughter and stuff.
Or not Ziggy's, but Marshak's, yeah. And the fact that he had a ride because of the family.
Exactly, more false accusations. Sure. Yeah. And I think we tend to forget how doggone good he is on a bike. We were talking about how good he is.
He won 4 heat races last year, too. So
he rips on a 450. We talked about that. I mean,
he podiumed indoor and outdoor on a 452.
And that's what segues me to, he's got to be looking for a 450 ride, and he's in great shape, and I'm sure he had a good 10-week build.
Yeah.
And then to have that happen, like you say, the emotional ups and downs, and let's not forget, he is a provider of the family. So now the business side of it, there's a lot that was weighing on that for sure.
Yeah. Dan, what did you think when you saw that crash? Just like, to me, I mean, we were able to rebound, but emotionally, it sucked the life out of me when that happened.
Yeah, it was a bummer to see, just for the simple fact that he has worked so hard to try to get this title, and to see it be stripped away like that by another injury,
by just a little mistake, man. Little mistakes have big consequences in sports.
I honestly, when I saw the crash, I was like, oh man, because after seeing McAdoo's couple big ones, I'm like, oh man, Christian's gonna be okay. He'll get right back up, no big deal. That's not the reality of a crash like that, unfortunately.
Rob, you've seen this sport, man. The biggest crashes sometimes mean nothing, and the littlest crashes can end somebody.
Think about the one that blew out Villapoto's leg. It was very similar to that. It looked like he just stepped off the bike, and it was a quick stop, but the way he tumbled and rolled, I didn't think it was going to be that bad.
Yeah, truth be known, it could have been a lot worse.
Gosh, it could have. Chase Sexton's could have been bad. Oh, my God. Yeah. Chase. But yeah, so Joe, for me, collectively as a group, I think I'll go upper and downer. He's an upper because I feel like he's trying to be an inspiration to the people that matter to him, and that struck a chord with me because I try to do the same thing. It's funny for me, this one's way different, but my daughter is little. She's tiny. My son is not. Whatever reason, he is like normal size for his age. My daughter's tiny like me, and I want to do something with my life to show my daughter that you can be little and be okay, and you can still make it. So I have my own motivations for her to show her that, because she knows that her dad's littler than most people, and I want her to know that that's okay. So I have reasons to inspire my children. And Joe, he hit me with that multiple times. He wanted to show his kids he can get back up after being down, and it just sucks that he went down again.
That's brutal.
So he's my upper and downer at the same time, and I hope he's all good. Anything else on 250, or we get into the 450 class, which I know we're all going to have some thoughts. Anything else? No? Yeah? No? All right, Joe. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll do the 450s.
Main event moto.
Joe, when I think of Blenzall, I think of the smell because it's so good. But that's not fair because it's the quality of their products that really stands out. Go to Blenzall.com and take a look at the catalog. 2-stroke, 4-stroke, they got everything that you need for your motorcycle, and it's top quality. I used to be in the oil industry. I know the difference between crappy oil and good oil. Blenzall.com has the best. Check them out. That's what the Motoheads run. Walk out in your garage, take a look at your bike. You know your graphics are roasted and you need a new set. That's why you go to Old Me Creations to freshen up. High quality, good looks. They are the choice of the Motoheads. That's why you need to put some Old Me Creations on your bike. Not everybody's like Toolman Dan and washes their bike more than they actually ride it. So your bike is probably hammered and it needs some Old Me Creations stat. Again, quality, style, they got you covered. That's why the Motoheads run Old Me Creations. Joe, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Screen printing done. We got to do their commercial, right?
Yes, we do.
Let's do a commercial/tease where we tease our new T-shirt coming out in March.
Ooh-wee.
But then also mention how Neil's the man and screenprintingdone.com is who does all of our stuff.
Right.
Isn't that kind of a good idea? Like a commercial/tease right there?
Yeah.
Well, Neil is the man. You go to screenprintingdone.com if you want to get something custom done like we do. And of course, when March hits, you get that Main Event Moto t-shirt done by Neil at screenprintingdone.com.
Yeah.
So can you turn this into the commercial?
I think we can.
What do you got to do it?
think we just did.
If you're a true Motohead, then motosport.com is your only choice when it comes to OEM or aftermarket parts for your bike. And when it comes to servicing your bike or giving it the punch you need to perform, it's EMT Racing. With motosport.com, you can get everything you need for your bike with great pricing and ridiculous speed on shipping. And with EMT, it's simple. Take your bike to the experts.
2020 is the year EMT takes over the performance world. If you don't know, now you know.
Your Bat Bros choose motosport.com and EMT Racing, and you should too. I love when NorCal companies take the world by storm. Guts Racing seat covers and no-toil filters are made right here at home, but their products travel the country and world on some of the baddest dudes' bikes in pro racing.
Who runs Guts?
Too many factory teams to list, Joe.
Who runs No Toil?
Well, it's the only filter Chad Reed will run. Guts and No Toil make only the best. So visit gutsracing.com and notoil.com and step up your game, Motoheads. Joe, you ever heard the saying, happy wife, happy life?
Oh, yeah.
My wife is stoked because I got her some CBD from Utah Health. That's utahhealth.com. Now check it out. 100% made in the USA. The hemp is grown on the family farm. There's no pesticides. It's THC free. Everything is 25% off on the website. Third-party lab tested. These guys crush it, and they are now part of Main Event Moto. So go to utahhealth.com. That's UINTAH health.com and get some CBD. I'm a believer. I tested it. I tried it. I believe. Motoheads, give it a shot. utahhealth.com.
Main Event Moto Podcast.
Dan, you got to start working on our pick'ems for the Salt Lake Final. I said last show we're going to do 5 to end it.
God,
so start thinking about it. Here, I'll give you, here's my little paper. Where's my pen? I got a pen over there. Start thinking of
I'm gonna do 3. I'm gonna let Rob do 2.
Make them in the showdown, though. Because showdown is...
So just the showdown.
Yeah, let's do 5 pick'ems for the showdown. Which, Rob, that's just you pick one of the... Does a Star Racing Yamaha rider win the showdown? Any one of them. Thrasher, but that would be one, yes or no. So we'll think about it as we go. But let's talk 450. Is it over? I mean, unless lightning strikes and hits Cooper in the head or something. I mean, that's probably the worst analogy I've maybe ever said on the show. But, unless something absolutely abnormal happens, is it over?
It was over when Kenny bent his handlebars.
Oh, boy.
I'm just saying. Officially, for me, that's when it was over. You can't go down like that and get up and blame it. Your handlebars are bent and lose 6 seconds.
Not if you're going to watch McAdoo.
McAdoo's heat race, dude.
Left leg.
Yeah, McAdoo's bars were
sideways, falling 30 feet.
Yeah. His throttle ended up on the left side somehow, and he still got 4th in heat race.
Yeah. I love Kenny. I like Kenny.
Me too.
But I don't like his excuses. Plain and simple. I just don't like them. Instead, just say, hey, you know what? I lost 6 seconds. I was a little timid in the whoops after crashing him. Congratulations, Cooper.
What do you want me to say, Dan?
Oh, he said that last night, huh?
Yeah.
What do you want me to say?
And I took that directed towards you when Coach Robb and I talked about it. He didn't.
Me as an individual?
He didn't take it that way. That's the way but I'm biased, dude. I mean,
I didn't take it that way that it was directed.
I took it as the industry. Yeah. What do you want me to say to the industry?
That was why I went like this, because these guys are like programmed to make excuses, hide everything, keep everything in the woods. If someone challenges you, you got to make some fictitious story up. And now all of a sudden we're frustrated because he's always got excuses, but yet that's what he's been programmed to do since the day he got here.
He's getting a lot of heat from the Angry Fingers he's kind of becoming like known for being an excuse guy.
Yeah, and I feel bad in a way because when you make an excuse, there's truth to the excuse, but it's just like, do you say it? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm working on this with my son right now. He will not take blame for anything, and it is like let's have the talk again. The other day, Joe, he went to start his bike and his foot got caught and he fell over and smashed his pipe. Brand new bike.
Is that what happened?
He fell over in the pits. And I said, Evan, what are you doing? And he said, it fell over. And I said, whoa, it fell over? You mean you fell over? And he immediately knew, because we've had the talk. And he's like, yeah, I fell. So I'm working on it with him because I don't like that either. I don't like when it's never me, never me, never me. I don't like that. But at the same time, with Kenny, with the bent bars, That's probably true. I mean, you're going up against Cooper Webb on a gnarly track at the end of a 450 main. The bars are bent. There's truth to that, but you just don't say it.
Right.
I think you take public ownership, and even if privately you can digest that was a contributing factor, that's fine. But I think publicly you've got to say, you know what? It happened again, and I'm going to figure this out. I am sick of it. I'm going to figure this out, blah, 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 whatever. And you move on. Then you can go back and go, damn, bars are bent, but I should have never felt, whatever. I just think he's got to figure out the public response to the issues. And I
don't think the bars were that bent, honestly. It wasn't that hard of a crash. And you guys all have ridden. It takes a pretty good digger to bend a set of 1 1/8" handlebars.
Well, and I mean, and if they're twisted, whatever, it might take 30 seconds or so, but you kind of adapt, you kind of get back with it. But with if they are, if they're not, whatever. And even this one, he kind of did it again. He said, yeah, my bike wasn't setting right in the whoops, which caused me to do. I was thinking to myself right when he said it, I was like, that's not how you publicly do it. You publicly come out and say, I blew it. And you better believe I'm going to get this right because I care enough to find out what's going on with this. I'm going to get it right. That's what you say publicly. Then you can go back to the truck and be like, man, the bike wasn't settled right. Maybe I made the wrong call. Maybe we as a team made the wrong call in a setting. I just think publicly he's got to be more conscious of what it looks like, man.
Hardcore ownership, right?
Hardcore, even if it's not. Like, I mean, I've gotten even to the point now where if I have a perfect show on Race Day Live, but I butcher one little thing, whatever, I will own it. Okay, here's ownership. Bad math, dude. Joe, I screwed up last night on the championship points.
2 + 2 = 4.
Well, to be fair, Joe, when I was in high school learning math, I was trying to pull chicks, and I was trying to get home and ride my dirt bike.
To be fair, you were doing it on the fly.
I was excited, man.
Only the hardcorest of the
hardcore. You're trying to bring a new perspective.
I was, but dude, bad math. I screwed up, and I led Ricky down the wrong rabbit hole, and I had to bring him back. My bad.
But you owned it.
I did, and it was my fault. I did my own math quick in the moment, and I was wrong. I could say, oh, well, the points changed a couple years ago, so in the past it would have been, and then I didn't have help from the truck or what, which was the opposite, because
they said it was wrong.
I could have blamed.
Yep, blamed anybody.
But dude, I screwed up. Like, it's okay. I screwed up. Guess what? Won't happen again. It won't happen again because I'm putting it out there. I screwed up. And that's why I'm saying is even though I could have gone to some other variables, like I was in the heat of the moment, all this stuff, it was bad math. I screwed up. Whatever. I won't do it again because I'm owning it. And that's where I think Kenny again needs to maybe you start by publicly owning and then it works its way to private ownership too. But publicly just got to be more conscious of that.
If you're going to blame it on your handlebars, this is the way to do it. Hey, I crashed, I went down, my handlebars were bent. And when I got back up, I just couldn't adapt to the handlebars.
Exactly. I couldn't adapt. And it's
the handlebars
are
bent. I couldn't ride the bike. You know what I mean? It's like,
hey, I talked to someone this week about McAdoo with the bent bars. I forgot whoever. I wish I could remember who it was, but someone said, well, to be fair, he rides with bent bars a lot. The dude crashes all the time. And I was like, it's fair. He probably has ridden half of his life with bent bars. But you also, Dan, you're right. Hey, yeah, my bars were bent, and man, I couldn't get comfortable, and it was my fault. I got to be more adjustable. I got to be better at adapting when things aren't going my way. Something like that. Not only are the fans not angry fingering you, Joe, they're probably like, hell yeah, Kenny, I'm on your side. Yeah, let's get it right. You know what I mean? So that's, to me, it's just the public messaging that he's got to be more aware of.
And I hate being critical on Kenny because of what he's been through.
Yeah, me too. I'm like such a fan of his,
and do. But I mean, at some point, it's like you just got to own it. Like you said, own it.
But think about it as fans, we've been programmed. When we're speaking of Kenny, when Kenny's like, I'm dealing with the lime from the mud, or I've got Epstein Barr. The week before he gets lapped, and then the guy that lapped him the week before, he catches and beats the next week. That creates a lot of confusion for listeners.
It does.
When you go, wait a second, I was listening to you, I trusted that, and you went out and completely dismantled your explanation last week. Again, lack of accountability, but I have to say, who's in his ear saying you can't be 100% honest? You've got to have a little bit of nebulous gray zones in there. So who do we put I don't want to say blame because I hate that word blame, but I'm also big on that accountability and responsibility.
Who do we put ownership on?
That's it.
On what happened.
I'd love for him to tell me the truth, but then when he does, he gets ostracized by his own team or whoever the PR people are. And then again, you tell me that you've got Epstein-Barr, and that's why you got lapped. And then 7 days later, you catch
or shingles. It was shingles.
Shingles and Epstein-Barr and Lyme disease and this disease. And yeah, you've had a shitload of operations and all that medication jacks you up. And like you said, Dan, the mental turmoil, I can't even begin to imagine how many times he's dug himself out.
Joe, you know how we always talk macro, micro? It's like my favorite thing. I can't get off it. I think it's pretty prevalent in almost everything. On a macro level, man, I love Kenny. He is such a good dude. He's positive. He's happy. He's cool. He's a nice dude. His story's incredible. The injuries, but those micro details, are little things where I'm like, Kenny, come on. Like, it's just a couple little things. That's the big one for me is the podium interviews. Just, I would love him to come out and just say, I got beat. I'm so sick of it. I got to go to the drawing board and figure this out. I'm sick of getting beat. This one's on me. My team crushed it. Everyone around me crushed it. This one's on me. If he said that, the whole narrative about him changes in one interview.
Yeah. And who talks like that? Cooper Webb. You've got to give credit where credit's due. That guy will go up there. I screwed the pooch. I got beat straight up. You know, and we all know it now, but at the time we didn't know it at the beginning of the series. That rear end they were playing with, they finally get the shock that he's comfortable with, and like the illustration you guys gave last night, it's just been nothing but straight up ever since they got that rear end tied up.
Yeah, Cooper didn't have much ownership last night. I texted him this morning and said, "Hey, Marv waxed you." You know what he texted me back? You guys cut the race short for TV. And I went, what? What with a question mark? And then it was like 2 hours. I'm like thinking, is this dude serious? And he goes, LOL, I'm just playing, fool. But it was like the most, like passive aggressive response ever. But he does take ownership, and I think there's power to that somehow. I don't know it's like some kind of power with ownership. It's like if you want to fix something, take the blame. Even if you're only 1% of the fault, take the 1% and take it hard, and I'll bet you the other 99% cleans up.
Yeah.
There's something to that.
Well, and it goes back, like you said earlier, look at how Cooper was always second fiddle to AC all through the amateur ranks. Mm-hmm. And so he had to learn how to put his tail in between his legs and get beat, get looked over, get beat, looked over. He gets that opportunity with Star Yamaha, rides with a broken wrist just to show he's in it. He means business. Mm-hmm. And now look at who we're talking about today that has that mental tenacity, that pit bull, never quit, never say die. It's exactly in line with what you said. That he learned at a young age.
It doesn't happen overnight.
No, sir.
It gets embedded in you.
But how did his parents treat him?
Yeah.
Accountability, responsibility. You're getting beat. What are you going to do to get better? You didn't get a ride. What are you going to do?
That hurts, man.
It hurts.
It is
right
emotionally.
There, what did he talk about? I've got a chip on my shoulder.
It's emotional wreckage, man, when you have to take ownership for things. And the truth is Kenny's had a great season. This is the best he's ever been, and he's going up against just one of the most mental giants of all time, Cooper Webb, and it's got to be frustrating for him, but at the same time, he's so damn good. You're right there. There's just a couple little pieces, and for me, I think ownership's the final piece. I really do, and I think Eli last year, from what I've heard, there wasn't a lot of ownership going on with Eli for a couple years. It was always the bike and this and the bike that and the bike, and last year when he won the title, I think there was more ownership. I think they looked in the mirror and said, we have to get better with this situation, with what we're working with, even if we think it's about whatever. And I think Eli finally got over the hill once the ownership kicked in, and I think that's probably the last piece for Kenny.
Eli's claimed ownership all year long when they interview him on
this
the podium.
Year. This year he's been
this year. Yeah,
but that started last year. Yeah. Years past, you keep hearing about the bike and how he hates the bike and the bike
Never
this,
happened.
the bike that.
Never happened.
And then last year, you didn't hear that anymore.
No.
And he won, and then this year he's owning it again. Again, it could even almost be fake a little. Mm-hmm. But if you and Adam Cincerello, I had him on Race Day Live in Daytona, and he said his problem is too much ownership. The bike could be wrong, and he'll be like, no, guys, it's me. And the team's like, Adam, it's not you. We're going to fix this machine. And I even asked him, I said, dude, do you feel sometimes you take too much ownership? And he's like, well, I don't, but everyone around me says I do.
But where does that stem from? His dad. Mm-hmm. Alan C. was all about, I've told this story numerous times, but when I was working with AC, his dad took him 3 hours south to go ride. And Alan is Adam's dad. They go 3 hours south. Alan always put the bikes in the truck. Adam was always responsible for his gear bag. Adam forgot a glove. They're getting geared up. He doesn't have a glove. His dad says,
took him home.
Get undressed. We're heading back home. Adam's like, no, a ride. His dad's like, look, You're going to ride without a glove. You're going to get blisters. It's going to get infected. How many weeks are we going to lose because of an infection? Because
you could crash today
because you didn't pack your gear bag correctly. Get undressed. We're heading back home. 3 hours south, 3 hours north. You don't think Adam didn't remember that? The attention to detail, take responsibility, no shortcuts, and look up. Now he's taken all ownership of everything.
Yeah, and now he needs to come back the other way a little bit. Because he is gnarly about every issue is always his. Yep. It's his fault. And I think there's a balancing act. I think he probably goes too far.
Yep.
Because again, it's the gnarliest sport in the world. It's not always on you, buddy.
But almost how refreshing would that be? If you've worked around a lot of factory guys and you've got one that's going to be that accountable versus a bunch of babysitting.
Right.
I would think that'd be incredibly refreshing. Frustrating in some levels, but refreshing.
Fun to work with.
Hey, Rob, do you know what accountability gets you? Accountability is going to get AC a 450 national championship.
Oh, here we go. Mute him.
Oh boy,
Joe, press the mute button.
This year.
Yeah, I'm not far off on that. AC was damn good last summer, and he's only going to be better. We have a whole 450 preview show. We're going to do a couple of them, Joe, right? 250 preview, 450 preview show in a few weeks when we get closer. So we'll get into that. And Dan, you will not be invited to that episode. Neither one. Unless Joe can get that mute button working, then we'll let you in. But yeah, other than that, Marv, I don't even know if I want to open the can of worms.
Hey, he looks good without a neck brace.
I just said I didn't know if I wanted to, Dan, and he stepped right in. I don't know if I can go there. I don't. It's such a touchy one with me because Evan doesn't wear his neck brace anymore. He fought me on it, and he don't wear it anymore. And it's hard for me because as a dad, dude, I want to put him in bubble wrap. Mm-hmm. He's my baby boy. I want to bubble wrap him, but at the same time, I don't know if it's good or bad. And the guys that all used to wear them don't. Are they smarter than me? Do they know something I don't? Is it comfort? I didn't wear one, then I did, then I didn't. I don't. It's like I don't want to play the game of neck brace, right or wrong. I don't know.
Let's ask a physiologist, Rob.
He probably doesn't want to be put on the spot either because is it preference?
Well, actually, one of the moms brought it up yesterday. She had an 85 rider out there, and she was sincerely asking, what are the thoughts? If you go back to the original neck brace where it went halfway down the vertical spine, so when that...
Yeah, the big OG one.
Yeah,
right?
So when that neck brace went backwards, all that energy went right through the spine. You know, if you look at the way that it had that big bar that essentially went down the spine, so that energy has to go somewhere. So if the head goes backwards, it's just going to create a pivot and it's just going to go right through. Now you look at the new ones and they do a better job of distributing that energy up above the shoulders. It doesn't let it go into the spine. I just think when you look at the amount of R&D that goes into them, they wouldn't be putting those out if they didn't help and they didn't work. Then we get into the positioning on the bike. Do they limit your range of motion? Absolutely.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, you can't argue that point. Now they are getting better. You know, the actual capacity of the hole is a little bit bigger depending on your helmet. There is a little bit more mobility in the neck, but we'd be lying if we said it didn't limit range of motion. But we'd be lying if we said they didn't work. Now you've got to look at cost benefit on what you're comfortable with. But in all fairness, I've never talked to one person who's taken it off that didn't go, I have better body position. I could look further up. So, but to your point, Daniel, there was a time when we raced, there wasn't a such thing as knee braces and neck braces. Does that mean, we had ACL tears then, we have ACL tears now with them. So you can't get them into an absolute category. If it was my son's always rode with a neck brace because I'm always going to go that direction, an ounce of safety. But my sons also weren't at AC's level either. Mm-hmm. When you've got visibility challenges and stuff like that,
it's a hard one. And if I'm just playing the visual game, he does look better without it. He looks
it's pretty hard to argue after last night.
Well, he just looks like we're watching it right now in this recap.
He can go through the whoops now.
There is more movement. There is more movement. He seems looser and more agile on the bike. And I mean, Anderson got rid of his. Sexton got rid of his. It's such a tough one because it's not like the easy game of helmets. Hey, are helmets safe or not? Are they worth it? Yeah, well, guess what? Without the helmet on, I could move around a lot better. I could see a lot better. Okay, well, guess what?
Yeah.
So it's really hard. The knee brace one's really hard.
But look at the knee brace. If you look at where the knee brace goes around tib fib, goes around femur, you've got your boot that's encapsulated around the ankle. The ankle is encapsulated by the boot. Where's that energy going to go? we're seeing new levels of hip dysfunction because that energy, when you dab that foot, Robb, that grabs the head of the femur and just torques it.
I tore both ACLs without a knee brace on. Mm-hmm. I also broke both my femurs directly because of my knee brace.
There you go.
It snapped right at the end of the knee brace because there was no the energy had to go somewhere. That's and it went right to the femur. So what do you do with that?
Exactly, and that's where and it was ironic you bring that up because that was the question yesterday. Is it better to tear an ACL or to break a femur? Well, until you've broken a femur, you'll never answer that question.
Yeah.
I look at it this way: if you break a femur, and you're make sure I set the context. You're not wearing a knee brace. You break your femur. There's a higher probability that when you broke that femur, this knee is not going to survive.
Yeah.
Because if you take that amount of torque and contortion of that leg, that's just a joint that if it goes lateral like that, because I'm thinking of a femur break.
Yeah.
If it's a lateral blow to the femur, like you hit, the way, and it goes through that femur, that knee is not, the amount of energy it takes to break a femur, the largest bone in the body, that ACL, MCL is not going to be around for long. Now, am I saying that I want you to have a broken femur and torn up knees? No. I'm just answering the question. The knee brace, did it save your ACL even though you broke your femur? Somebody could argue that.
Maybe.
But all I know is you've got a broken femur, and that sucks too.
And that's another game. I can't play the game when I really don't have, when I feel like data tells both stories.
Yes.
It says both sides. That's just a tough one. And I think the human body is, let's just put it this way. If you're racing dirt bikes, it's gnarly. Mm-hmm. And like we said, Jesse Nelson, the weirdest, littlest crash ever that ended him. And it's just like, or ended his racing career. I'm sorry. That's just, it's devastating. And then you see McAdoo literally do the gnarliest thing ever and then race to a podium an hour later. Like, it doesn't always make sense. And I guess my way of thinking is you just try to do your best and you just try to do your best.
That's it.
It's you can't play that game. You got to do what's best for you and hope that it's okay. That's it.
That's where you go back to accountability and responsibility. Dan and I were talking about this at dinner last night. It's easy for me to sound like I'm on a soapbox of health and fitness and flexibility and strength and all those little elements until you hit the ground. Because then the raw reality of it, we were talking about it yesterday, the importance of being flexible. If you imagine somebody that's got overdeveloped biceps, you see them in the gym and their arms just don't straighten out. That's just a bicep that's overdeveloped.
That was Joe when I met him.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden you have a high-speed get-off and the velocity of that arm gets whipped out and that muscle's already really, really tight. You're going to pull it off the shoulder. You're going to rip it up.
Yeah, Joe, what happened to those biceps you used to walk around with?
They're under there. I know they are.
Sold
Chick-fil-A.
Sold them on eBay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's play a quick game of who's winning the title. Justin Cooper, yes or no? It's over. Nichols, yes or no? Yep. Webb, yes or no?
Yep.
3 titles getting clinched on the same day.
I'm officially going to call Eli out of this one.
Well, the math would tell you, Dan, that you can't say otherwise. So, anyways, Dan, you got some pick'ems?
I got 4.
Numbers don't lie, right?
Numbers don't lie,
as you said last night.
I got 4 pick'ems. I'm sorry, 3.
All right. Well, what are they?
Robb needs 2.
Well, Joe, do the jingle, and then we'll get into it.
All-American Chevy of Killeen brings you Main Event Moto's Fantasy Pick'em.
Joe, is that what it's called? Is a jingle?
You could call it that.
Okay.
A bunch of names.
All right.
Lead in, whatever.
Toss.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's the 3 that you got? Okay, so this is our Pick'em League, and it's the final round. Dan's coming down to the wire.
Robb,
5 Pick'ems.
Okay, so the first pick'em is, does the Star Rider win?
Okay, so
the shootout.
The one I teased out. So you got Cooper, Nichols going for a title. You know what's crazy is as much as they just want to coast it on in, if I'm Nichols and Cooper, I'm going for the dub. Like, it would take something astronomically weird to take you out of it. I'm not going to go roll around out there. If I'm them, I go for the win. But I don't know if they will. I don't think they do. But Thrasher, maybe. Thrasher, we'll see how he handles a tight Supercross track.
See, I don't... Yeah.
What do you,
I think that the super speedway tracks, I think that
they were great for Thrasher.
I think they leveled the playing field out, honestly. I think that guys can make more mistakes. I think the racing is better on those super speedway tracks than here. Or than in a tighter supercross, quote unquote traditional supercross track.
This one was tight.
It was really tight.
But I know why they did it. They wanted to keep them lap times up, and they did a pretty good job at it. I mean, that place is small. They could have been in the 40. They could have been at 40, and they kept it pretty dang good.
Okay, so
I'm gonna say no though.
I'm gonna say no as well.
Joe, what do you think? Does a star Yamaha rider win the showdown?
I mean, I think it could happen. I'm gonna say yeah.
Go yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oppositor.
Rob, you can play too.
Yeah, play with us.
Yeah, I'd have to say yes on that. After looking at, I think Colt Nichols, on one coast, and then of course you've got Cooper on the other. It's pretty hard to argue against a star.
I mean, they're the two guys that are going to win the titles. It's hard to bet against them. But I'm just wondering if the pressure of the day affects the way they ride. So I'll go no. I say Jet wins. I'll say Jet wins the showdown. It's that kind of race. But anyways, second one.
Okay, number 2. Does Joe Shimoda get a top 5 in the showdown? Because Daniel's stat was Joe has not gotten worse than he's got a top 5 every single round this year. So does he continue that streak and get a top 5 in the showdown?
I go yes.
I say yeah.
Yeah, the guy gets starts too, man.
Sushi.
How about Jet, dude? Good job. Congratulations, Sushi. That was earlier in the year, but God, Jet.
I'm going to say no.
No?
Yeah.
What?
Opposite guy?
I don't know.
He's trying to take accountability for his problem, his obsession with Cowie. Look, this is good.
You don't have to justify it, Dan. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel.
I'm just shocked.
It's a novel idea.
He's wearing a Fox hat with a Fox sweatshirt.
I think it's going to be
Fox underwear.
It's close. I think it's going to be start dependent. I think if he gets a good, Jesus,
Joe.
I know it's a secret.
Good night.
He's not. No, he said no. Let's just run with it, Joe. Before he changes his mind, he's going.
Don't talk me out of it.
He's
too
going
late. It's stamped.
Yeah, no. Dan says no. No faith in Cowie this weekend coming up. Okay, Rob.
Yeah, I have to agree with him. I have to say no.
No,
I don't. As deep as that field is, I mean, yes, he's coming into his own, but I think when these
might get a little messy, it's
going to get really messy.
All right. Dang, all right. This is spicy. All right, third one.
Third one is does one of the Hunter brothers, remember
Yes, one of the Hunter brothers.
The Lawrence brothers get on the podium?
Oh, yeah. I think 18 wins it. Joe, does one of the Hunter brothers?
I mean, you have to say yeah.
Does Hunter or Hunter's brother, which I think is hilarious.
There is something to that, though. You want to say the Hunter brothers. Like, it seems like their last name would be Hunter for some reason.
Yeah, I love it.
I think
big brother team. Me and Hunter, we like this.
With that last name also being a first name, it seems difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
I go
totally.
Jet with the dub.
I'm going to say yes, too.
Yeah, I have to say yes as well.
How about both of them? Does both of them get on there? Oof.
That brings me to the next question.
Okay.
Number 4, does Hunter beat Jet?
No. I'm Team Hunter over here, but Jet's winning the showdown. Joe, does Hunter beat Jet?
Man, it'd be fun if it happened, just because Jet's kind of
he's the guy.
He's the character now. Yeah. He's the one people are watching. And Hunter's a little more on the quiet side, but I don't think so. I'd like to say yeah, but no.
No. Dan?
I'm going to say no as well.
Okay. Rob?
I'm saying yes.
So you're high on Hunter.
I've been on Hunter since the day I walked in here.
And you were before the West Championship started. Remember, Rob was the one highest on Hunter going into Supercross when we were all kind of iffy. Yeah. So I got to give you some love there because he got a win. He had the red plate for a little bit. Rob, you were on that. Well, I wasn't there yet. You were.
I think our sport, we have amnesia so quickly. We cannot forget what brought those brothers here in the first place. It was Hunter.
He was.
And they were a package deal. And yes, all props to Jet. I mean, he has certainly blossomed and come into his own. But man, and I feel bad for Hunter because he had injuries. He's had some mechanicals, not really things of his own. And then when the mechanicals go away, my only concern, in all fairness, and I said it last year as well, I just don't know if that power plant of that Honda is going to be able to really hold up against the stars. If I say there's one thing that would be
the one thing that would hold him back.
Yep. And that's what we talked about with J-Mart. You know, he's extremely fast, but he just was underpowered on that Honda.
J-Mart rode
they should get on Cowie's
wheels off of that.
And I've talked
Joe, mute him.
Dude, how sick would Jet be on a Cowie?
I mean, he has a point.
No, just move on to the next one. What, do you know? You said Hunter. Hunter beats Jet.
Yeah.
So, all right. All right.
You ready for number 5?
Joe, mute him. What?
What is the better Cowie coast in the showdown? So you
Would it be an individual guy? Because Shimoda's the only one on the side.
So this is Robb's question.
Yeah,
so we'll let Rob define it.
So if it has to be a yes/no question, will Cowie East win or Cowie West win if Cowie were to win? Let's just say they're the highest placing team. Which is going to be better, East?
So you got
West?
McAdoo and Hammaker versus Joe. And it's only 1-on-1. Like which? So the West has a little extra. They get 2 guys that get to go at it. I think Joe gets on the podium. I'm going Joe. I go East.
You're going East? Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Hammaker's been good, and McAdoo, I don't know how he feels right now. He probably doesn't feel as bad as Dan does today after 2 big days of riding.
I'm still pretty sore. Somebody's got to help me out of this chair, I think.
I'm going West Coast. Or East Coast. Sorry, I go Joe. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I agree.
You're right. You're riding the Shimoda train with me
for the same points that you mentioned. You know, yeah. Hey,
I think Joe can beat Hammaker, and McAdoo. I don't know how he.
McAdoo's like, who knows what's going on with
I don't
that
even know if he races. Who
Not
knows?
to count him out, but geez, you know.
I am gonna go East. I'm gonna go with. I think West. I think McAdoo is going to come out and prove something again.
And I could see.
I don't think he gives up.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
And not to ride on his coattails, that's where I think McAdoo's got something to prove to say, hey, all that carnage and all the drama that went with it, let's get the slate clean.
End it with a dub.
Come out with a dub.
I think McAdoo wins.
Really?
Yes.
God, that would be a period on the end of his sentence, man. Goodness gracious if that happens.
And then on the flip side of that, Seth has proven over and over again he can nail the starts in the main.
Yeah.
And we've seen over and over a start can make all the difference. I know that sounds like a really asinine comment, but think about it. Some of these guys, let's go to Daytona. Styles Robertson gets the start of his life, leads all but 3 laps, and then barely into the top 10 the next weekend.
Yeah.
We saw that. I'm drawing a mental Blake who got up. Pierce Brown, got up there on the podium again, all predicated off of good starts. I know it sounds again like a stupid statement, but
let me ask one more. Can I add a 6th? Does Jet Lawrence flip off Michael Mosiman at all on Saturday?
That was priceless.
It's a bonus.
That was.
I haven't heard it yet.
What about the speed of that corner before?
Because he thought he was going to get killed.
Yes.
That's why. But hey, I haven't seen it yet. But I heard in the press conference, Jet went off on Mosiman. Apparently, blew him out in the press conference, which I'm anxious to hear because I haven't heard it yet. Yeah. But I heard he got teed up and went at Mosiman hard in the press conference.
Was he getting just bumped around, getting cross?
There's something there. There's some. I don't know. I don't really know all the depths of it, so I don't really know exactly. But there's something between those two. Because remember early in the year they kind of hit each other a couple times.
Yeah.
Something happened to where Jet flipped him off the finish line jump, and then went at him on the press conference. So something's there, which is there's always these little ones like that are brewing. So.
Well, at least it wasn't as blunt as Garrett and McAdoo.
Oh, boy. And then my answer to that is yes, I think he flips him off again. Dan?
I kind of feel... Oh, wait. No, I answered. No.
Does Jet flip off Mosiman this week?
No, because I don't think Mosiman will be even close to Jet.
Okay.
Mosiman has issues, man.
But he's so close to not having issues too, man. That dude, he is fast, and he was right there. And he is so close to having all that. Him and McAdoo remind me of the same person in a way where it's almost there. Yeah. It's almost all there. So
is that
little things, man?
Is that going to be a legit question?
No, I was just being funny. I was just playing.
Joe, do you have a question that you would like to add to?
No, I got one. I got one. Does producer Joe go to Salt Lake City this weekend?
Dude, I
answer the question.
It's my downer, but no, I can't. Of all the days, of all the weeks,
Rob,
Joe, just don't show up.
I've never had it in my life.
I think you go to jail for that. He's got jury duty, and he got on.
I've never had jury duty in my life.
Joe, I told you what to say to get out of that.
Time out.
Do it.
Time out. I know how to get you out of this.
How?
Easily.
How?
You just don't feel good. You might have COVID. You just are
Yeah,
not
but then he
feeling
might
well.
not be able to travel.
So, yeah, here's the juror summons right here.
And what does it say?
There's a thing about it. I won't bore the listeners, but we can talk about. Trust me, I've thought of all the.
Joe, I gave you a very easy out, and you didn't take the bait. Now you might have had some troubles afterwards with the law, but I had a way out for you.
Yeah, you did.
So hold on. So did you actually get selected as? Because last time I had jury, I had to go and I spent like a couple hours there.
Yeah.
It did not select me.
Right. So I'm on standby. I have to go tomorrow. And like I said, I won't bore them, but I have to go tomorrow and see. So there's still a chance.
Yeah.
There's still a chance.
But he made it. But he made it past the first round, where now he's in the chamber, dude. That's the problem.
I have all the fixes for this if you want to listen.
Well, we might have to talk offline.
Yeah, I say we could get out of this, Joe. You're gonna have to
that'd be a good one.
gamble.
Do I get to go to Salt Lake? We'll see.
Joe, if you don't, I'm going to be so disappointed.
So is Dark Side.
Same, man.
Dark Side is not gonna be happy.
Yeah, I know. Same here.
I was hoping that we can get Joe and Dark Side together, and then we can measure the ponies to see which one's longer.
Oh, Dark Side is down to his ass crack. It's not even close. Good show, right? It's a good show.
Damn good show.
Can I have my paper back, Dan, so I can read my sponsor list?
I feel like we're missing something.
Missing something.
A topic?
Scott USA Prospect Adam Cinderella listener questions? We're not doing those.
He's going to get sued one day for that.
Not me. This is Joe will. Joe made the commercial, or no, it'll be your lady, Joe. She's the one who made the jingle.
That's fine.
She'll sue her.
I laugh every time I hear you say that. I literally laugh out
It's just the
loud.
funniest
It is
thing.
so
It sucks.
good, but it's so
It
good.
is good,
You
but-
can't
Do you like the
dispute
jingle?
it.
Do you like the jingle for those who are in contracts with other
I
brands?
love it. It is every time, because I'll always have it playing in my office, and I'm literally audibly laughing out loud every time I hear that jingle.
It's hilarious.
It is awesome.
Joe,
Yeah.
when's the pool party? That's what I want to know.
In about 5 minutes, he's wearing his swim trunks.
I got him on right now, boy.
Soon, whenever the next hot day.
Yeah.
Is it raining today? Is it supposed to?
It's supposed to rain.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
So,
good.
I don't-
Well, then I am going to try to go to Evan. I got a little Supercross track for him. I'm going to go try to see if I can get on the skiddy tonight and clean it up, because it needs a little cleanup, but it needed some moisture. So hopefully,
Surprised you're not going to go home and just take a nap.
Actually, I'm taking Maggie on a date tonight.
Good on you.
Yeah,
Nice.
She, we've been through hell and back a few times, and it was a great weekend. Very, very grateful on my end for the opportunity that I was given, and I want to go celebrate it with my wife. She's been through more than me, because I've been through it all, and then she's had to go through it all and deal with me. So imagine that's double time for her.
Hey, so last week I put out a post on Instagram for some main event moto sun hats. You know, the straw sun hats. That's a go.
Hey, it is. All right, hey,
I'm making the
Motohead.
executive decision.
I love those things.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Motohead, DM Dan off the hook. Just drive him nuts this week and let him know. Yeah,
I already know how many we need.
Okay. All right. We're going to get some of those going. And then, Joe, the shirts that we were supposed to do in March, you know our commercial for the shirts in March?
Yeah.
You got a little busy. We're going to do them in May.
Nice.
And they're already designed. They're designed. We just got to execute. So, Neil, screen printing done. You are the man, and we're going to get those going in May. Coach Robb, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for
I'm glad
having
you
me.
were able to come to NorCal and make it happen. And good camp. Happy for that.
Coach
Dan?
Robb, thank you for everything.
You're welcome,
over
brother.
this last couple days. It's been very, very eye-opening, and I appreciate everything.
No,
Yeah,
my
eye-opening
pleasure,
for
brother.
him, too. Probably watching you ride was probably eye-opening.
Thanks for letting me be on,
I don't
boys.
think I was that bad.
Of course.
Although he did say I was dangerous at one point in this conversation.
Well, he's not
so-
that bad. He's just dangerous. Dan, thank you for coming in.
Yep, thank you.
And producer Joe, thank you for our talk Friday night.
Always.
For our talk Friday night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge shout out to Fly Racing, Mika Metals, Motosport.com, Scott USA, and the Adams Israel. No Toil, Guts Racing, EMT Racing, Glenzall, All American Chevy of Killeen, Old Meat Creations, DRS Suspension with Race Tech, and you and Todd. Thank you guys so much. This has been episode 195. It was a good time to be with you boys.
You guys will not believe who I have lined up for episode 200.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's epic.
I told Joe who it was. Joe,
Huge.
all time, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. All
Dude,
time.
All time.
We finally got Jason Lawrence to commit. I've been trying
Whoa,
for
buddy.
4
Whoa,
years.
come on,
4 years I've been
dude, it's better. It's better.
Bigger.
It will blow. It's gonna blow everybody's mind.
Eli Tomek's coming on?
Minds will be blown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe knows.
All right.
I couldn't get a hold of you.
Beyond the Track, the show that I do. I think this week the episode comes out with Lyle Lovett. I did an interview with Lyle Lovett. Oh my God, that guy is so cool. That was a cool moment for me. Not for the reasons you would all think, because I like him in a certain movie that we get into in the interview that I could tell is like, why would you bring that up? But I thought it was cool. He is the most professional human being. Oh my God. It was a great interview, and it'll come out, I think, this week with Lyle Lovett. It was badass. So, all right, episode 195. Thank you guys, and we'll catch you next week, hopefully talking about Salt Lake City that Joe was at.
Yeah.
If he can find a way to get out of jury duty. See you guys.
Main event, Moto. Screw it. You know it by now.